Today, it's a routine transaction. You pull up to a pump, you swipe a card, and you fill your tank, often without ever interacting with another human being. It's efficient, it's impersonal, and it's fast. But if we rewind the clock to the golden age of the American automobile, the gas station was something entirely different. It wasn't just a place to refuel your car. It was a destination, a place of service, conversation, and pride. It was a place where a friendly attendant in a crisp uniform greeted you with a smile, where the sound of a bell announced your arrival, and where driving was treated not as a chore, but as a luxury experience. Join us as we take a turn off the modern interstate and pull into the full-service gas stations of the past. Number 1. The rise of the service station. In the early days of the automobile, gasoline was often a side product, sold in cans at pharmacies, blacksmith shops, or general stores. It was messy, inefficient, and often dangerous. But as cars became more common after World War I and into the 20s and 30s, a new type of business emerged, the filling station. These were simple, often little more than a shed with a curbside pump. It was after World War II, however, with the explosion of car ownership and the creation of the interstate highway system, that the service station truly entered its golden age. Oil companies like Texaco, Shell, and Esso, which would later become Exxon, understood that they weren't just selling gasoline. They were selling a reliable, trustworthy experience to a nation falling in love with the open road. Number 2. Architecture of the open road. The gas stations of the mid-20th century were designed to be noticed. They were beacons of light and cleanliness, meant to catch the eye of a driver speeding down the highway. Each brand developed a signature architectural style. Texaco stations, for example, often had a clean white and green design with their iconic red star. Phillips 66 stations were famous for their unique, sloping gull-wing roofs that made them look like they were about to take flight. These stations were meticulously maintained. The concrete was spotless, the paint was always fresh, and the restrooms were famously and proudly clean, a key selling point for families on long road trips. They weren't just buildings. They were landmarks. Familiar, welcoming symbols that promised a safe harbor on your journey. Number 3. The full-service promise. The heart of the experience was the attendant. The moment your car rolled over the rubber hose, a bell would ding inside the station, and an attendant would come jogging out to greet you. You'd simply roll down your window and say the magic words, "Fill up with Ethel," and that's when the show began. As the gasoline was pumping, the attendant would pull out a squeegee and expertly wash every window on your car, from the windshield to the back glass, leaving them sparkling clean. Then he'd ask you to pop the hood. He'd pull out the dipstick, wipe it clean, and check your oil level. He might also check the water in your radiator and top off your windshield washer fluid. All of this, the window washing, the oil check, the friendly conversation, was included in the price of the gas. It was simply part of the service. Number 4. More than just fuel. Beyond the pumps, the service station was a vital resource for the American driver. Inside, you'd find a treasure trove for the traveler. Racks of free road maps were a staple of every station. These beautifully illustrated maps, sponsored by the oil companies, were the GPS of their day, helping families chart their adventures across the country. You could also buy essentials like motor oil, antifreeze, and spare fan belts. And for the kids in the back seat, there was often a classic humming Coca-Cola machine and a rack of snacks. Many stations also had one or two service bays, staffed by a trained mechanic who could handle everything from a flat tire to a more serious engine problem, ensuring that travelers were never left stranded. Number 5. The human connection. The local gas station attendant was a respected member of the community. For those in his neighborhood, he knew your car, he knew your name, and he knew how your kids were doing. For the traveler, he was a trusted local guide. You could ask him for directions, recommendations for a good place to eat, or the location of the nearest motel. This human connection was the unwritten contract of the full-service station. You weren't just a customer. You were a guest. The attendant's job was to make sure you left his station safer, cleaner, and happier than when you arrived. This level of personal service built incredible loyalty. A family might drive an extra mile, passing 2 or 3 other stations, just to go to their station, because they trusted the man who worked there. Number 6. The end of an era. So why did this beloved institution disappear? The answer lies in the oil crisis of the 1970s. When gas prices skyrocketed, oil companies and station owners looked for ways to cut costs. The most obvious expense was labor. Suddenly, the idea of paying attendants to wash windows and check oil seemed like an unaffordable luxury. The self-service pump was introduced as a way to offer gasoline at a lower price. At first, many states outlawed it for safety reasons, but the economic pressure was too great. Drivers, eager to save a few cents per gallon, quickly adapted to pumping their own gas. The convenience of pay-at-the-pump technology in the 80s and 90s was the final nail in the coffin for the full-service era. The focus shifted from service to speed. The gas station became a convenience store that happened to sell gasoline, and the friendly attendant was replaced by a credit card reader. Today, the skeletons of these old service stations still dot the American landscape, their empty service bays and abandoned pumps serving as silent monuments to a different time. We've gained speed and efficiency, but we've lost the simple luxury of being taken care of, the confidence of a professional checking under the hood, and the warmth of a friendly conversation. The full-service station wasn't just selling gasoline. It was selling peace of mind, one clean windshield at a time. A small but significant piece of the American journey, preserved forever in America's past. Do you remember the days of full-service gas stations? What was the name of your local station? Share your memories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this trip back in time, be sure to like this video and subscribe to RetroStates.